Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing, Inc.
Dominica gets Caribbean assistance in probing the February 7 disturbances. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Friday, February 24. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Ricardo Roberts. Good evening. 4 officials from the Caribbean Implementation Agency for Crime and Security Impacts have arrived in Dominica to begin investigations into the unrest in the capital following an opposition protest. National Security Minister Rayburn Blackmore says there needs to be a detailed, independent and transparent investigation into the riot and all circumstances and events leading to it.
The events of February 7th runs antithetical to what we stand for in Dominica and affects and undermines all elements of society. All possible action must be taken to prevent this from happening again in our beautiful country, Dominica. In that regard, the government of Dominica has made a request for investigative services to the CARICOM Implementing Agency in Crime and Security Impacts under the Regional Investigative Management System to assist in the investigation and review the evidence gathered of recent public events.
Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit has already stated that the violence and vandalism were part of a strategy by the opposition to unseat his Dominica Labour Party government. But the United Workers' Party and the Dominica Freedom Party have distanced themselves from the accusations, calling on Skerrit to provide proof. Police have questioned senior officials of both parties. Blackmore says it is a matter of tremendous public interest, and he is calling on the public support and cooperation. He, however, made it clear that the government recognizes the rights of citizens to self-expression.
The government of Dominica recognizes and supports the right of citizens of this country to self-expression and has vowed to uphold that given right by our Constitution to assembly and to freedom of political expression. However, in expressing that right, the right of others and the laws of the land should not be violated. Ladies and gentlemen, all right-thinking Dominicans will conclude that the protest action outside the financial center on Kennedy Avenue, Roseau, on the 7th day of February 2017, which gave rise to riot in the streets of Roseau, where targeted destruction of people's property took place, was not at all a normal event.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Skerrit, in a national address on Friday, announced the introduction of interim screening measures for the appointment of non-nationals to diplomatic positions. Skerrit says the measures are to tighten safeguards and address the concerns of citizens. He adds that the government of Dominica is mindful that more can be done to eliminate possible scandals in respect of persons chosen to represent Dominica abroad.
Effective immediately, all non-nationals under consideration for diplomatic and consular appointments will be subjected to the same due diligence requirements as persons applying for citizenship under the Citizenship by Investment program of Dominica. So henceforth, not only would a prospective appointee have to meet and satisfy the requirements of the government of Dominica, but that person would also have to be cleared by an internationally rated and recognized global security agency that would carry out the necessary due diligence exercise. This would include ensuring that they do not have any criminal record, are of good reputation and proven competence, and possess the requisite skills necessary to function in the designated role.
The Dominican leader says where necessary, a declaration of source of funds as well as disclosure of business activities of proposed appointees will be requested. The measures will be published in the Government Gazette next week and will also be available for public scrutiny and discussion. In the meantime, he says a professional review of the processes for issuing diplomatic passports, which began last year, are still ongoing. Less than 24 hours after the appeal court lifted the injunction of the governor of the Central Bank of Barbados, Dr. Delisle Worrell, has been fired. His attorney, Gregory Nichols, confirmed that his client had received correspondence on Friday terminating his services. But the lawyer is warning that the matter is far from over. He says his client intends to challenge the minister's rights to dismiss him at the Trinidad-based Caribbean Court of Justice, the island's highest court. Worrell was appointed for a second 5-year term in October 2014 following his initial appointment on November 1, 2009. But Finance Minister Chris Sinclair had been trying to remove him, giving him the option of resigning or be fired. Worrell had gone to the court to challenge Sinclair's right to force him out of office, but on Thursday, Acting Chief Justice Sandra Mason dismissed the case. After a 5-month battle between the government and opposition in Trinidad and Tobago, a substantially amended FATCA bill received the support of the entire Parliament on Thursday night.
Honourable members, the question is that this House agree with the committee's report on a bill entitled An Act to Repeal the Tax Information Exchange Agreements Act and replace it with a new Tax Information Exchange Agreements United States of America Act, which would make provision for the implementation of agreements between Trinidad and Tobago and the United States of America, providing for the exchange of information for the purposes of taxation, the validation of the sharing of personal information held by the Board of Inland Revenue or financial institutions, and for related purposes. All in favor say aye. Any against? The ayes have it.
Now, when the vote was taken just before 8 o'clock, at all 39 MPs present voted in favor of the highly contentious Tax Information Exchange Agreement Bill, which will bring TNT in compliance with the U.S. Foreign Account Taxation Agreement, that's called FATCA. It was passed with amendments in several areas. The legislation enables local financial institutions to report to the U.S. Internal Revenue Service on accounts held by U.S. clients. That will be done via Trinidad and Tobago's Board of Inland Revenue. Having crossed the first hurdle in the lower house, the legislation must now be debated in the Senate. But Attorney General Faris Alwari said after last night's debate that he expects the opposition's support there as well. Still in Port of Spain, Prime Minister Keith Rowley is denying a report that the government paid millions of dollars to lobbyists to set up a phone call with U.S. President Donald Trump. The report on a website called the Guyana Guardian has been circulating online, but Rowley rubbished the claim in Parliament on Thursday and sought to explain why he believes Trump made the call. A gay rights activist is suing the state over laws that criminalize sex between consenting homosexuals. In his lawsuit filed in the High Court yesterday, Jason Jones claims that Sections 13 and 16 of the Sexual Offences Act, which criminalizes buggery and serious indecency, contravenes his constitutional rights to privacy and freedom of thought and expression, in addition to being in direct contradiction to his country's international human rights obligation. Jones was born in Trinidad but is based in London. He also contends that the legislation opens him up to public prejudice and ridicule because it labels him and other homosexuals as criminals. A date for the hearing is yet to be set. Jones said he decided to file the lawsuit due to his personal experience as a homosexual in Trinidad and Tobago, including him being disowned by his family, forcing him to migrate to the United Kingdom. And still to come in Caribbean Newsline, Grenada's government ordered to halt its acquisition of a major hotel. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Grow your business or promote your event through the services offered by the Caribbean Media Corporation and CaribVision. Our distribution provides a platform on cable, terrestrial television, and websites. We cover carnivals and events from across the region. We can bring your event live and alive to the world. For music makers, program producers, businesses, we can expand your reach to in excess of 2 million households daily. Our other services include news updates to enhance your media products, studio space for program and development. We can facilitate the launch of new products and services and training. Contact us and we will help you unleash your creative ability, develop products and services, and provide the medium to watch them grow. Contact Loretta Skeet at cmccaribbean.com or call her 1-246-467-1044 or 1-246-253-3889. Call and book your carnival or event today.
So you guys know excuse me, what's this all about? The sun? I got real part I want to see because it's real and it bothering me. What's your name again? I supposed to read vibes. Could read mean like your vibes. It like from the time you gave, where you heard from us, I could feel your body language. Like, I ain't even know why I ain't even. Look, I read, I don't know what you want to do. I will show you out.
The Grenada government has been ordered to halt its acquisition of a major hotel on the island. They have been told to wait until the Eastern Caribbean Court of Appeal hears the appeal application filed by the owners of the Grenadian by Rex Resort. The application is seeking to dismiss a compulsory order granted by a Grenada High Court in December 2016 that gives government the right to acquire the property through the land acquisition legislation. This judgment means that the Rex Resorts will continue to remain in possession of and to continue to operate the hotel situated at the south of the island. The saga between government and management of the 212-room hotel began over 2 years ago when government indicated its intention to acquire the land and property using the land acquisition legislation. GBN's Curlin Campbell tells us more.
Government was seeking to possess the hotel and the land on which it was built, but Rex Resort went to court to challenge the decision. The government claimed that Rex was not upkeeping the property and that it had other investors waiting in line. However, appeal court judge Davidson Batiste stopped the government in its tracks on Tuesday. In handing down the judgment, Judge Batiste noted that the Rex Resort quite legitimately complains about the extraordinary haste with which the government has acted in issuing the notices of declaration of acquisition of the land after the judgment of High Court Judge Wainanti Adrian Roberts. The judge noted further that the government acted with such haste that in a mere 10 days after the judgment, they provided themselves with a platform for arguing that they had control of the property. The Chief Executive Officer of Rex Resort, Richard Bryson, welcomed the latest ruling. He said in a statement that this judgment states very clearly that government acted with extraordinary haste and that Rex Resort's rights under the Constitution of Grenada must not be ignored. He said that the Rex Resorts are eager to resolve this matter and to move forward with executing the property enhancement plans that they have outlined to the government. During Tuesday's post-cabinet briefing, Minister Nicholas Steele acknowledged that the matter was still subject to legal proceedings.
We will take pleasure in announcing the progress of the Rex as the Rex progresses in terms of the investment, in terms of the investor, in terms of the stages, most definitely. The reason that I've been silent simply is because I respect the judicial system and this government respects the judicial system, and it is still in the process of completion. Once completed, I guarantee you, we will be here in front of you, members of the media and the nation as a whole to announce why we have taken the risk to be questioned and why we think it is worthwhile.
Our news desk contacted Solicitor General Dwight Hosford today in light of the latest ruling by the OECS Appeal Court. He said this is just an interim injunction telling the state to hold off on taking possession of the property until the appeal is heard. Hosford said that his office will deal with the interim injunction appropriately.
Over in Jamaica, where a former government minister has been the subject of death threats following her suggestion that recordings of incarcerated dancehall artist Vybz Kartel and other convicts should be banned from the airwaves. Police said they were investigating the threats made on social media against Lisa Hanna, the opposition People National Party spokesperson on youth and culture. On Thursday, in an interview with Cliff Hughes on Nationwide Radio, she suggested that the music of artists who are convicted of crimes should not get exposure on radio.
Here to have that discussion.
With a view of
coming to a decision that says in the best interest of our country to set examples. We have to identify what rules are rules and what privileges are privileges. If you are convicted until you are not convicted, perhaps it is that your music needs not being played on the radio.
Hannah also questioned how Vybz Kartel, who is serving a life sentence for murder, was still recording music behind bars.
The issue where Kartel's music keeps coming out than any other person, because I haven't heard any new songs from Buju since he has been incarcerated. I think we need to get to the root cause of that. We need to find out how the songs are being made, how they're getting out, is there corruption in the prison system? And not only for Kartel, I'm not singling out Kartel alone. I'm singling out all persons across the spectrum who are having an imprint on our children's value system.
Hannah says she was severely criticized on social media, and following the death threats, head of the Counterterrorism and Organized Crime Branch, that is, Assistant Commissioner of Police Clifford Chambers, said lawmen are conducting a risk profile, and based on the outcome, police will determine whether they will increase the security assigned to Hannah as an MP. The opposition PNP said it is pleased that police are treating the matter seriously, and it expects that it will be investigated speedily. In our entertainment news now, it's carnival time in Trinidad and Tobago, and one of the most popular events, the Calypso Monarch, had its own bit of bacchanal leading up to the finals. A High Court judge Thursday night granted an injunction against the Trinbago Unified Calypsonians Organization, or TUCO, from restraining, preventing, or denying the St. Vincent and the Grenadines-born Calypsonian Lornette Fire Empress Ned Reed from competing in the finals on Sunday. Earlier this week, TUCO announced that it had removed Ned Reed from competing in the National Calypso Monarch competition, claiming that she was not a national of Trinidad and Tobago. Their decision followed a threat by Lynette Lady Gypsy Steele, raising issue over Ned Reed's nationality and her meeting the requirements to compete. Ned Reed placed 8th following her semi-final performance last weekend. She filed legal action against TUCO, indicating that she was a registered member of TUCO since 2007 and had competed and won several calypso and soca competitions in Trinidad as a national of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Her attorneys had called on TUCO to reinstate her into the finals by midday on Thursday. TUCO's public relations officer Steve Pascal says he hopes the situation serves as a learning experience.
You see, immigration rules and laws and so on. I always heard that the lady was married to a brother from Tobago. And you know, you're telling yourself, but something must happen. The world is watching to see how this thing happens, not only the Caribbean, because it's something important. The March Gras, the pinnacle of Carnival. You know, and we owe it to the people to get the best out of the legal situation.
And ahead in Caribbean Newsline Sport, plans underway to unify regional football. Stay with us, sport is next.
Get ready for the Caribbean's most original carnival, Dominica's Carnival, Mass Dominic 2017, February 4th to the 28th. Revel in the splendor of a masquerade band. Experience the parades, the non-stop fetes, Dominica nights, Dominiki Do, Mass Dominic, the real mass. Come, revel with us. Visit us online at dominicafestivals.com or call us at 767-255-8221.
Follow me, show a burning desire. Follow me, set your heart on fire. Follow me, high above, high above.
Lady. The day about fun, great racing out on the beach with pro sailors. It's all about enjoying it, and that's what we're doing.
And welcome back. There are plans afoot to overhaul the current structure of football competitions in this hemisphere to unify nations that play under the Confederation. The disclosure from CONCACAF President Victor Montigliani in an exclusive interview with CMC Sport on Friday about his plans for the regional sport since assuming office 9 months ago. The football administrator says the beautiful game can be strengthened if nations come together under the Confederation.
I think one of the things is we are looking to revamp the competition structure so that competitions are not just based on regional basis. Because at the end of the day, the Caribbean doesn't compete with itself. The Caribbean competes with the rest of CONCACAF, and the Caribbean competes with the rest of the world. So there's no use just looking at your own region. That is not going to do any service to your players and your coaches, who at the end of the day will always be measured on the international scale. And therefore, we're looking at competition so there's a better integration for all 41 countries to be playing on a more consistent basis and playing on with each other. So the competitions will be based more on a confederation level than just a sub-regional level of Central America or the Caribbean or the North.
Now, part of his plan for the sport is to set up an office in Jamaica so that the Confederation can pay closer attention to Caribbean football. He also wants to roll out plans that will allow for more competitions to be played in each territory. Montigliani pointed out that he wants to change the mentality of the Caribbean and other CONCACAF playing nations towards the game.
And I think what's suffered in the past is the mentality of what I would call regionalism in CONCACAF, where the Caribbean was only thinking of itself, the Central America was only thinking of itself, and North America was only thinking of itself. And that led to really a divide and conquer attitude by previous leaders. There was no real planning, no strategy, no commercialization of our assets. And that led to what I think created an environment where things that happened in the past happen. And I think what we've all realized as members is that we are only strong together. And therefore, I think you see a new leadership in the Caribbean. Presidents such as your president in Barbados, Randy Harris, who understand that now it's not just about the Caribbean in isolation, it's about the Caribbean unified with Central America and unified with North America, so that together we stand strong.
Antigua and Barbuda were eliminated from contention in the CONCACAF Under-20 Championship on Thursday when they lost their third straight game to finish the preliminary round with little to show for their efforts. Playing in Group A at the Estadio Ricardo Saprissa against the also previously winless Canada, Antigua succumbed to goals from England-based winger Chris Todwet, or that's Twadek and Shoan Hundal in either half to wrap up their unflattering maiden outing in the competition. They finished bottom of the group as Mexico topped the standings with 9 points after completing a perfect preliminary round outing with a 1-0 win over Honduras in the feature game. Honduras finished second with 6 points. And Trinidad and Tobago secured a spot in the quarterfinals of the CONCACAF Beach Soccer Championships after they dismissed the U.S. Virgin Islands by 5-1. TV6's Sergio Dufour took in the action and filed this report.
So here you can see how TNT scored the first goal against the United States of Virgin Islands in the CONCACAF Beach Soccer Championship. Can't say the same for the goalkeeper, Carlos Quesada, who was perhaps blinded by the sand trying to keep the ball out. Hakeem King scores in the 5th minute. However, a good throw-out by Quesada was good enough for skipper Michael Vollmer to put a glancing header past Victor Thomas and level matters. Yes, Vollmer, we can see it came off your head. And yeah, but the sand gods were on TNT's side today, and more so on the King's foot, as the keeper was beaten when the ball took an uneven bounce. 2-1, and TNT were back in front. But King didn't mind sizzling up his celebrations. 3-1. Chadapu then pulled off a move that made beach soccer look like the world of fun with his bicycle kick. That's a 4-1 in the bag for TNT. Let's see if anyone could repeat that acrobatic effort. Oh, we spoke too soon. Kevin Woodley nails it. Must be something they've done in training. 5-1. USVI take a spanking as TNT march on to the quarterfinals where they await their opponents.
And just before we leave you, now guess who will be part of the Carnival celebrations this weekend? The world's greatest sprinter will join revelers in the greatest show on earth in Trinidad and Tobago. That's right, Usain Bolt was spotted on stage at an event in Port of Spain as the Twin Island Republic gears up for Carnival Monday and Tuesday. The talented Jamaican, who was with local star Kes Defantala and Trinidadian cricketer Dwayne Bravo, showed that he had some other skills.
You come in my country, and I'll make sure you get something good. You're against the brass. You're against the brass. You're against the brass. You're against the brass.
And that's the sport. We'll be right back.
Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
In a place where legends start, the beach is just the beginning. So live a little for the exhilaration and the colour of every moment, where time is and life is a spirited event. Immerse yourself in the culture, the music, the people, the island. Love Antigua and Barbuda. Embrace an experience that leaves you breathless, from cricket to sailing week to carnival and more. Antigua and Barbuda, the beach is just the beginning.
Get ready for the Caribbean's most original carnival, Dominica's Carnival, Mass Dominic 2017, February 4th to the 28th. Revel in the splendor of a masquerade band. Experience the parades, the non-stop fetes, Dominica nights, Dominique Do, Mass Dominic, the real mass. Come, revel with us. Visit us online at dominicafestivals.com or call us at 767-255-8221.
Again, the major developments of this day. Dominica gets Caribbean assistance concerning the... let's get that. Improving the Dominica disturbance. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news on sports, log on to CarnaNews.com. We'll be back here again on Monday. But from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching and have yourselves a good night.